Hello and welcome back to the NRLW weekly podcast, thanks to Lite and Easy, fueling Australian sport. I'm Marlee Silva, one of the sideline eyes for NRLW on 9, and beside me, as always, is the one and only Ruan Sims. On the show today, it's finals time. So we have a huge preview of those two incredible finals games that are coming up. We also look back on some of the predictions that we made before the season kicked off. I think I was quite bad with mine, but we'll see.
I feel like I was pretty good.
And we answer some of your questions. Ru, how are you? Can you believe it? We are at this point of the season.
I know. I think back to when we kicked off and we were so excited because there was such a huge amount of football ahead of us. And I'm excited now to think of the great football that we've seen. Yeah. And obviously this is an incredible final series we've got coming up, but I don't want it to end. 2 more weeks. I know. I don't want it to end.
I know.
Luckily, we've got Pacific champs.
Oh, so yes, thank goodness.
We keep our toes in the water a little bit.
Yes. Well, to kick things off, the final sort of review that we have of all of the teams who are in the competition with your Lite and Easy Hungriest player and team of the week.
Oh, yes. Okay. So my Hungriest team of the week, I'm going to go with the Broncos. I mean, I think it was such an incredible way for them to finish their season. They secured the minor premiership. And they go into the final series being able to host a home game. I think that's pretty exciting to have that at Totally Workwear Stadium. And, they deserve to be in that position, especially after such a rocky start. Yeah. For them to get Gail Broughton and Stacey Walker in when they did, I think that was key for their role into the finals, and they are looking very, very good.
Yeah, they certainly are a huge threat this coming weekend with that game at home up against the Sharks. And I've loved seeing them kind of find their footing and just show that vintage Broncos, from the dynasty era of the NRLW.
Yeah. No, look, they've been looking great. I mean, they won tough a couple of weeks ago against the Sharks in the very last minute, so they don't give up. Yeah. And, they come from behind a lot and they got themselves into a really good position. So, that was it was pretty good for them, I think, especially because I think a lot of people potentially could have been writing them off after having such a rocky start, which you can never do with a Broncos outfit because
Absolutely
they're
not.
always they're never going to go away.
Did you have a Hungriest player?
Look, there were so many great performances over the weekend, but one that I probably want to highlight was the try by Zali Faye after she received a kick in the air. And look, it sticks in my mind because there were so many incredible performances. There really were. I thought Simaima Taufa was huge again, even though she didn't finish the game. I thought she was fantastic. But that try for the Eels, Rachel Pearson had the ball on a string, Zali Faye up in the air, got tackled in the air and still managed to put the ball down cleanly. That was incredible athleticism. Yep. And that would be pushing Julia Robinson for try of the year for me. So that's why I'll give her my Hungriest.
I can actually see it.
Like I can too.
Is so imprinted in my mind. Yeah. And she's got so much grace and elegance about her.
I know, she's like a gazelle.
It looks so beautiful. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. So she's my Hungriest player.
Great. Well, now it's time for this one.
This is the top 2 with Ru. What's fueling Ru this week?
Ru, what are your top 2 this week?
Top 2 this week, I'm going to go with the few clubs that have had their presentations already. Yeah. And I just want to give a tip of the hat and a nod to the players who won what we used to call best and fairest. Yeah. So like the player of the year. The Eels is coming next week, which I think you will be hosting.
Be on the mic.
So you'll be giving me the inside goss there, the inside run on that one. But over the weekend, the Raiders, obviously, Simaima Taufa.
Yeah.
She's been immense throughout the season, never stops working, and she's such a tough nut. And incomparable when it comes to just her work rate. She's fantastic.
And so inspirational.
Yeah,
I interviewed her before their final game on the weekend, and she was talking about the legacy that they're building, and regardless of what happens with their season, that's something she's proud of. We're all building to something. So whoever follows us has a clear path. And I was like, tears came to my eyes. I'm like, I want to play for you, Simaima. Saliva.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So she got their player of the year. The Titans, Vani Politi, she was fantastic for them in a very tough campaign year. They had a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
She led by example every game.
Absolutely.
Every game she put herself forward and she tried to put her team in the best position possible. So she deserved that for the Titans. And the Dragons, I was glad to see it was actually two players that got this, Alexis Tavernier and Angelina Tiakaranga Katoa.
Yeah.
Both huge for the club this year.
You've spoken about them all season.
Oh, because I can't stop raving about them. They are fantastic. Look, it's a huge loss for the Dragons that they're going to the Bulldogs. It's a great pickup for the Bulldogs. Their engine room is impressive next year. You add Pani Hopawate to that.
Oh, yeah.
Tegan Dimmick is going there. Holly Wheeler's also going there. Ash Quinlan's going there. Taylor Preston's going there. So I mean, they both deserve it. I was so impressed with them. And we'll see them obviously involved in Pac Champs at the end of the year, which is great. Which will be great. So we don't get to see them for the last time. Yeah. We'll see them again before the year's out.
Well, that's really good. Hey, do you know what I saw? Speaking of Pac Champs, there's lots of questions of like who's going to be there, whatever. You know who won't be there for New Zealand? Ray McGregor.
Yes,
She's
did
getting
see
married.
That. I know.
Oh, come on.
I know.
You have to have a life.
You have to have a life outside of footy. I know.
Congratulations.
She's a huge loss for the Kiwi Ferns.
The Jillaroos are looking to get back on top of the Ferns. Though,
yes, yeah. Well, they obviously lost last year, and it was an incredible game from the Kiwi Ferns last year. So that will be contested very, very hotly this year. But yeah, Ray McGregor, congratulations, Ray.
Yes.
It's a shame that we won't see you in the Kiwi Ferns, but really great to see you thriving outside of football as well. So
hey, speaking of the Dragons, there was also some pretty cool news for them that we saw during the week.
Yes, so this was my second of the two.
Great.
Sam Bremner being named head of female pathways for the Dragons.
Great.
It's a great homecoming story. Yep. Obviously, she was a captain there. She played a lot of football there. She lives down there. And I think this is a great pickup. For them. I think it's a really smart move. She's from that area. She has a lot of respect for girls girls who are in that area, and I think she'll be a real draw card for people wanting to sign for the club. Yeah. So I think that's a really great move by the Dragons.
Absolutely. I love seeing the continued it makes sense, right, for those women who have like been a part of driving the NRLW forward to then transition into something like that and keep it going. It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really important that they do because they understand the history of the game, and she was there before it was NRLW and so she understands all of that, and I think that's really important. Yeah. And I think she'll be very successful in that role. So
I'm sure she'll be even more successful if she ends up with a premiership, which is, you know,
that's the ultimate goal.
Something that
in
could
NRLW
happen.
Land.
We will get into those previews very shortly. Now, at the beginning of this season, which honestly feels like a moment ago, we laid out some predictions, some thoughts about what teams we think you should be watching out for, the dark horses, and some players that we were expecting to have big years. Now, we locked those predictions in a vault, Ru. I think it's time to reopen that and listen to what we had to say. Who are your ones to watch for this season?
Well, look, it's hard to go past the Knights and individual player. I'm actually really excited to see Rosie Kelly.
Oh, yes.
Dark horse team to keep an eye on. Well, I'm going to say the Sharks, of course. Keep an eye on the Sharks. Yeah. You know, I think the teams who came in last year learned some really good lessons from coming into the competition.
I might add my 2 cents in terms of a ones to watch. Okay. And this is
Who's
pure
your ones to watch?
Club. I think that I can't look past how well the Titans did in 2023. My individual ties into my dark horse. So last week it was announced that Mahalia Murphy is the new captain of the Parramatta Eels. There's something about the changing culture. You know, change is as good as a holiday.
Steve Georgalis is the new coach. Yep.
And the way that those girls, it just felt different. One of us was far more accurate than another with those predictions. And you know what? Of course it was going to be you, Ru. You know this game better than I do, and you understand it from a playing perspective. Listening back to that, I mean, you must be pretty impressed with yourself with your call on the Sharks. But, I mean, you also are at the helm there, so you knew that.
I'm merely a support strut over there.
Yes.
But no, I just had a really good feeling about the Sharks this year. Obviously, they started very hot. Very, very hot. 6 wins on the trot. First time in NRLW history that there were 6 on the go. That was pretty impressive. Obviously, you know, had a couple of tough losses.
Yeah.
But finals, everything, the slate is wiped clean and there's no points. It's just you win and you go on, you lose and you're out. So, sudden death. I think that brings out the best in all teams. Well, it really shows a lot of character within the team. So that's why I'm excited about this weekend.
I mean, and you called it for the Knights to be there as well.
Yeah. Just looking at their lineup, I always felt like they were going to be up there. They've got too good a lineup.
Yeah.
New coach at the helm. Sometimes they bring something different as well.
Yeah.
And to come in with the roster that he had, I think, he's made some good choices through there too. And obviously that big loss was Caitlin Johnston-Green earlier in the year. Rimmer Butler stepping up to the plate as a big one. She's back this weekend, which is great for them. So, it was always going to be an interesting one. It was always going to be tight, but I felt like this year it was a lot more – the competition was more – hotly contested than it has been in previous years, which only bodes well for the sport going forward. And then especially when you consider we're adding 2 extra teams next year.
Good timing, right?
It's great timing.
And now it's time for us to answer some questions from you guys, the listeners, because we care with the things that you want to know about. So this one comes in from Lara. Lara's asked, do you think Rory Owen could play Gillaroos this year or at least be in the squad? So we had her on the show last week. She's one of those 49 debutants for the NRLW season and she's really made a name for herself already.
She's been fantastic. I've loved watching Rory Owen and I've spoken about it ad nauseum about the fact that I think she's the buy of the season for the Parramatta Eels and potentially the buy of the season in all of NRLW aside from Stacey Walker.
Yeah.
Probably 2 that have made such big impacts for their clubs. But I do feel as though there are some other informed centres who've had some experience there that are probably ahead of her.
Yeah.
Tiana Penatani is probably the form centre of the competition at the moment. She's been absolutely phenomenal for the Sharks, captain courageous. And then obviously Isabel Kelly, she's been cleared from that elbow injury. She'll be playing this weekend. She would definitely be in the mix. Jess Surgis hasn't played much footy with that ankle injury, but I imagine she would be in the mix as well. You've also got Jamie Chapman.
Yeah.
So there are a couple of players there who have had experience, but I would not be surprised to see her in the PM's 13.
Great.
And I think she deserves to be there, definitely. Yeah. And it gives her an opportunity to get a taste of representative football and, sort of keep going. But I think she's got a future in the green and gold.
Yeah, and just knowing the nature of Rory, having met her last week and as we were leaving the podcast studio, she was like, I can't believe I just did my first podcast. This is so cool. I can't believe what I've experienced in the last 12 months. Yeah. She would be... she knows that it's a long journey ahead and she just is so happy to be here.
And she's only young too.
I love that for her.
I think she's definitely got a very big future. That's for sure.
This is the Tab Iris debate. The time for sport is now thanks to Tab. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
Now, Ru, recently we've been having these greatest eras debates, all about the different components of the NRL, NRLW and their greatest times in the history so far. This one, I think, is probably the most important topic that we have debated so far. The best grand final day entertainment that we've ever seen. Can you think of some of the most iconic eras of grand final entertainment?
Well, the most iconic ones I can think of has to be Tina Turner.
Of course.
The most iconic. Tina Turner, and it's the blinding daylight and just the hair.
It's the hair.
Everything, as a kid, that's what I was like. It just, I'm always going to have that as
of course
one that really sits close to me because I grew up watching that and that's what was really iconic for us at the time. So that is the one that really sort of pops to mind of the most iconic.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I ended up doing a little bit of research into this because I thought that can't be the only good one.
Yeah.
And I think as you go on and you see more and more grand finals, sometimes you sort of
for sure
just sort of slide by it.
Yeah.
And then I've actually found one where it's got the top 21 performances
there you
in
go.
NRL grand final days.
Okay.
Where would you like me to start? What? How far down? 3 to 1?
Sure.
Yeah?
Let's
3
do
to
that.
1. Okay, so on this list, there is 2006. Hoodoo Gurus and InXS.
That's pretty iconic in itself, right?
Yeah, and obviously it was their new lead singer that they had for InXS. They joined the Hoodoo Gurus for that memorable grand final performance. And so that's down as number 3, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one. Yeah. Then this one is a little bit more recent, and I can't believe I hadn't sort of thought about it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I was there that day as well because I was playing.
Yeah. Oh.
And obviously I was disappointed because we lost, so I've just kind of wiped that day from my memory a little bit. But 2018, Gang of Youths and Daryl Braithwaite.
Oh, that's a great matchup.
Yeah.
I love Aussie artists doing it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and they're in their jerseys too.
Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah. So I still have kind of tried to wipe a little bit of that.
Yeah. But that part you can look back on fondly.
Yes, absolutely. And then number 1 on this list, which again was one that I had completely forgotten about, 2007, Hoodoo Gurus, Shannon Knoll, Vanessa Amorosi has been voted as number 1.
Hoodoo Gurus twice in the top 3.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yep, they sang That's My Team for the
of
last
course,
ever
of
time.
course.
Vanessa did Absolutely Everybody.
She had to.
So
Yeah.
that was a pretty good one.
They're
So that
pretty
was the 3
iconic.
ones.
I tell you what, I'm really excited for this year's entertainment.
Yes.
If you had asked me 12 months ago who's someone I'd like to see for this year, I would have said the Kid Leroy. He is a diehard rugby league fan, grew up a massive South supporter, incredible international talent, and I've seen him in concert. Truly one of the best performers I've ever seen.
It's going to be a cracker then.
So I'm really excited for that. If you had to pick your dream grand final day entertainment, Ru, I feel like you would have an answer.
Yes, I
Okay.
do. Metallica.
Oh,
That would be mine.
Okay.
That's my wish list.
What a pump up.
Oh, I would just be so, I would
Yeah.
be beside myself.
Yeah, okay.
Obviously, our family is a very big Metallica
Right,
family.
rock and roll.
And they were meant to come out in 2017. Obviously, that got cancelled. And I remember thinking that year, I was like, we should have them for grand final. They're already here. We should have them for grand final 2017.
That would have been sick.
But yeah, I think Metallica would absolutely rock the foundations.
Ooh,
And like
yeah.
you think about Origin, like the blues run out to Enter Sandman.
Yeah.
And you think about, like all of those like the iconic moments.
Yeah, for sure.
There's always a Metallica song that really suits it.
Okay.
And I would love to see Metallica.
Yeah. We
Clearly.
have very different tastes in music, but I love it. I reckon that'd be a massive grand final pumper.
Yeah. I'm a heavy metal girl.
Yeah, go off. You're listening to the NRLW Weekly Podcast with Marlee Silva and rock and roll Ruan. Thanks to Lite and Easy fueling Australian sport. We'll be right back just after this.
At Lite and Easy, we're fueling the champions. Our ready-to-eat, healthy and delicious meals are the perfect addition to a performance diet. Whether you're on the court, in the ring or on the field, we partner with professional athletes and teams to give them more time to train and play. Fuel your passion and your performance with Australia's multi-award-winning healthy meal delivery service. Lite and Easy. Eat well and play hard.
Rugby league has had its fair share of iconic eras. But honestly, I can't get enough of the high-scoring, line-breaking, flick-passing, magic-rounding, origin drought-breaking, Vegas-flying, simply the best era of footy we're in right now. And with more stats, insights and markets than ever, it's the best time in sport, and Tab has the best app in sport. Tab, we're on. What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
Welcome back to the NRLW Weekly Podcast with Marlee Silva and Ruan Sims. Thanks to Lite and Easy fueling Australian sport. Now, there are only 2 NRLW games this weekend. They're both on Sunday. Kick-off at 2 p.m. for the first one. You can catch both of them live and free on 9 and 9 Now. I know that's what you'll be doing. You'll be sitting down Sunday afternoon if you're not going to one of the games and watching it. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I wish I could physically be at both games. Unfortunately, they're in 2 different states. The first one, that 2:00 game, it's the minor premiers, the Broncos, hosting the Sharks at Totally Workwear Stadium at a sold-out Totally Workwear Stadium in Brisbane. I cannot wait.
You know what I love about this too? It sold out yesterday.
Amazing.
So it's sold out 5 days before gates were even due to be opened.
Yeah.
And I think that's fantastic.
Yep.
It's going to be, the crowd is going to be rocking. Obviously, it is going to be incredibly Bronco-centric crowd, and they earned that because minor premiers versus the team that had sat in the number one position for a majority of the year.
It's fitting.
It is. It's so fitting. And then to consider as well, they played each other 2 weeks ago. 4 points was the difference, and it was 4 points decided in the last 20 seconds of the game. So as a punter, if you go to that game, you're going to watch a great match of football.
That could be
It's going to be physical. There's going to be skill left, right and centre. It's going to be an incredible game. It's going to be warm too.
Yeah.
So great conditions for football, very trying and testing for all the athletes out there. But if we have a look sort of at the lineups, the big loss for me, Stacey Walker being unavailable through that fractured leg. She was incredible for them on that right edge when she came in. Ali Bringshaw had the ball on a string hitting her. But I tell you what, Lauren Dam has she's come in.
Yeah, for sure.
And she has not missed a beat.
Yeah.
She has not let her team down whatsoever. So I think that's a really great sort of pump up for her coming into finals.
Yeah.
And then the biggest sort of threat for me is that left edge for the Broncos.
Yeah.
You've got Gail Broughton, Mela Hufanga, Julia Robinson. You know if the ball gets anywhere near them, you've got to be on your game straight away because they are just fire.
Yeah.
They're so, so good. And then through the middle, they've continuously worked so hard, their middles. I think they've got a good rotation with their bench. Gone for a smaller bench compared to the Sharks.
Okay.
Destiny Brill and Lavinia Gould, both a little bit smaller bodies, but Brill is obviously a bit more physical.
Yeah.
And then Lenadusi and Lafayette coming off the bench, two bigger bodies.
Yeah.
And both have a different style of game when they come on. So Lenadusi's quite good at the offload. She gets hands free. She's elusive in that fashion. You've got to wrap the football up. Otherwise, she's going to get the ball away and create that second phase play. Lafayette, just big body, runs hard, tackles, just constantly works through the middle. So that's a pretty good rotation they've got with Brianna Clark and Aneta Nuasala.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you who the biggest improver for me for the Broncos this year has been Jada Ferguson.
Yeah.
She has been incredible. I've really loved seeing her development over this year. She's been fantastic for them off the back, and she's earned that starting position over a Queensland Origin player in Brill.
Yeah.
She's been fantastic. So they've got a really good rotation sort of going on there. With the Sharks, obviously, first thing out, Holly Wheeler's out for that 1 week suspension, so she'll be cheering on her team, making sure that they get through another week. So she's potentially
You'll
available.
be able to hear her from the sideline too.
Absolutely.
She can talk.
Absolutely. And then, they have their own sort of potent left edge, the Sharks. I mean, Penatani on that edge with Hanaway.
Yeah.
They're really, really strong. And then Taylor Preston's kicking game has been fantastic. I think she's been finishing the way that Tony Herman wants her to finish. Their middles have had a great rotation. I would say Ellie Johnston has probably been the form middle for the first six odd weeks of the competition. So she's put herself in the right frame there for her team. Tegan Dimmick will be starting for them, for the Sharkies, in place of Wheeler. And I tell you who I've been impressed with coming back from injury, Philomena Hanisi. So she did her hammy in pre-season. 12 weeks out with rehab. She's come back and she has been absolutely epic coming off the bench. Big runs, working hard through the middle. Obviously, she hasn't had as much football under her belt as everyone else. So she runs out a little bit earlier, but you know that when she gets out there, she's giving you absolutely everything. So that's been a really impressive for me. And obviously, there's a nice young player, Manolita Takapaltolo. She's on the bench this week as well.
Wow.
So, she's a young player. She's of the future, but she adds really great value for the Sharkies. And Brooke Anderson, hopefully she's cleared with her HIA.
Yeah.
She split her lip.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really a HIA. I was chatting to the other day and I said, she said, I've passed every test that they've had, like they've given me, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, it's kind of like when you get punched in the mouth. You just go, And until you get a whack in the mouth, you don't
Yeah.
understand how much it actually sits you back.
Yeah.
She's like, I wasn't concussed. I was just in shock.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I get that.
Yeah.
So hopefully she's okay
Yeah.
and that she passes all of the
Okay.
protocols that she needs to get
Yeah,
through
yeah,
and
yeah.
that she's able to play because she's value through the middle.
She's
for the
been a
Sharkies.
huge difference for them this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And Quincy Dodd has been phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
Hasn't she?
I mean, we are blessed with how much talent is coming. You know, all 4 of these teams are stacked to the brim, and
Yeah.
it's going to.
And they're all pretty young.
Yeah.
Like the players are relatively young too. There's a few girls who've been there for a long time, the more senior players, but the new talent coming through are young, which is exciting.
Yeah.
So, I think, look, the Broncos have started a little bit slow the last couple of weeks, so they'll be looking for a fast start to pick that up and just obviously they'll have a lot of confidence after winning a couple of weeks ago against the Sharks. I think the Sharks should take confidence in the fact that they were leading the majority of the game a couple of weeks ago. It was just that last few minutes they didn't control the way they wanted.
Yeah.
Obviously, last week against the Tigers, you just got to flush that.
Yeah.
And you go, all right, well, none of us did. We couldn't hang on to the ball.
Nah.
And we made mistakes. We gave away penalties.
Yeah.
Let's tidy up all of these areas of fundamentals and basics, and then let's just get into our style of football.
Yeah.
So this is an incredible matchup. I
It
think
is.
this is going to be really exciting. And
I'm not going to ask you to pick a winner because
I'm going to tip the Sharks.
Yeah.
I am tipping the Sharks for this one
Yes.
because a couple of weeks ago they were there and they'll be hungry.
Yeah.
They'll be hungry.
Well, what I was going to say was if I was going to spare you that, but ask, I get the feeling this is going to be very tight on the scoreboard. Do you agree with that?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, I think it's going to be in
There'll
the
only be
dying seconds.
There'll only be a couple of points that
Yeah.
separate these two
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah.
And the Sharks will be hungry to
Yeah.
get a little bit back for losing a couple of weeks ago. And the Broncos will be hungry to say, well, we're the minor premiers. Come and get it.
Yeah.
So that's why I love it. And obviously, it's going to be a really great game.
I'm
Like
so
I
excited.
won't be able to look away.
No.
Yeah. I'm actually quite glad that I'm not commentating this game because I'll be stress
Emotional.
sweating. I'll be stress sweating. But no, it's going to be a
gonna be
ripper
so
game.
good.
Like both of these games are going to be incredible.
Well, and that takes us to our 4:15 kickoff, which is at Allianz, Roosters, and the Knights. I think 2 very evenly matched teams.
Yes.
Like really, it's by the finest of hairs that you
Yeah.
would split them here.
Well, it's the same as the previous game. Like there's matchups across the park
Yeah.
here. I think if you look at the centres matching up against each other, Shanice Parker, Abigail Roach have been enormous for the Knights. And then against Jasmine Strange and Isabel Kelly.
Yep.
Like that's a great matchup in itself. Bremner v Upton,
Yeah.
the fullbacks.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be absolutely incredible. Their forward pack, like this is where I think it's going to be won
Okay.
or lost.
Yeah.
Is that forward pack and the rotation that happens through their forwards. Because Millie Elliott, continuous workhorse, Atessa Poole, big body, loves to work, Amber Hall on an edge. And actually we had Millie on the panel after the game last weekend and she had the funniest one-liner about Amber. She said, she's like having a cheat code.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is fantastic.
For sure.
Yeah, it
For
is
sure.
because they've got that pet play that they set up to play on the line.
Yeah.
And either Amber gets it or it hits the half sweeping around and the defense is constantly in 2 minds. And you can't sit back on your heels because Amber is such a powerful runner.
Yeah.
If you do, she's just going to power over the top of
Yeah.
you. And then if you push up on Amber and forget about the half's playing out to the wing or playing back to it's a great play.
It is.
Like
It
I love
is.
it.
It's
I love
so
it.
good.
So the rotation off the bench, I think, is another one that's going to be really important. Good to see Nita Maynard back from that ankle injury. Tavana,
Yeah, I thought hers was going to be not see her for the rest of the
I
season. So I was
know.
really happy to see that for her.
Yeah, me too. Because I think she adds plenty off
yeah,
the
for
bench.
sure.
She's got a really great service out of dummy half. She's got great leg speed, so she can identify if the ruck gets a little bit fractured, she'll go.
Yeah.
And then obviously I think what they were doing previously, they'd move Olivia Higgins to lock.
Yeah.
And so Higo would stay on a little bit longer. So both of those players very smart with their ruck recognition. And then I was actually really impressed with Tavana Papali'i.
Yes. Yeah. Wasn't
That young
she
girl,
great?
she's been really good.
Yeah.
Really good rotation. Obviously, she's got a history as a half, so she's got that ball playing ability, but she's tough because she's playing in the middle.
Yeah.
She'll play at 9, she's played lock, but she just rips in, which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
And then obviously Pani Hopawati, Economos, and Navindi. So they're carrying a back on the bench.
Yeah.
what I'm probably more interested in for them is their extended bench at the moment.
Okay.
So Taryn Aiken is on the extended bench alongside Jess Surges.
Yeah.
And John Strange has been talking about this week. It's just like a day-to-day proposition with those girls. They're just checking them out day by day. They don't need to narrow their team down until 24 hours. And it's still, you just narrow it down to 19.
Yeah.
Narrow it down 24 hours prior. And then an hour before kickoff is when we'll know exactly how they're tracking.
That's going to be the breaking news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be one to keep an eye on.
For sure.
I think if those two players are fit and ready to go, I'm probably leaning towards the Roosters. If they're not, I'm probably leaning more towards the Knights.
Right, okay.
So, because I think that you've got players like Yasmin Clydesdale, who has been just uncompromising all year. She will not stop working.
Yeah.
Hannah Southwell's defence has been great through the middle. I think the pairing of Georgia Roach and Jessie Southwell work well with each other. They use their edges well. Tamika Upton, we've seen her do a lot more ball playing this year. So they've got strike. They've got strike.
I also think from a mentality perspective, it's almost a team that knows how to win finals and has won them really strongly the last couple of years and has that confidence. But also when I was talking to a couple of the Roosters girls, you know, at the finals launch on Monday, they were also saying, like, we've been disappointed at this point so much. So it's the fuel of we've gotten to this point before and we've lost and we don't want to do that again versus we know how to do this.
Versus the calm.
You know, like, so what happens there? Like, that's what's really interesting.
Yeah, well, and we won't know that until the warm-up.
Okay. So we should be keeping an eye on what the warm-up
I
looks
always
like.
watch the warm-up and you get a really good feel for teams in the warm-up.
Yeah.
Because, like, the week can be the week because it's a massive week. Lots happens.
Yeah.
But then I like to really, if I can, I like to watch the warm-ups and then you get a really good feel for what the teams are, how their mentality is, what their communication is like, and then just that first sort of 10-minute period. Go from there.
Okay. Oh,
But yeah,
I'm excited.
it's exciting. Yeah, I know. There's so much happening. So yeah, bring on the weekend.
I can tell you, we know this from having heard my predictions. I have no skills, but what I would like, because it is possible to be, you know, mimicked in the men's, is to have a Sunday, 2 Sundays time. It is Roosters Sharks.
That'd be pretty cool.
If I could, you know, pull some strings with the footy gods, I just think, like, for storylines, for the vibe of Sydney, for everything, I don't necessarily think that is 100% going to happen.
It'd be pretty cool, though.
But how cool would that be? That's
would
what
be
I
very
like
cool.
about it. I just like the, you know, that's obviously what I think about the storylines and stuff. But I just think that would be so cool.
No,
but
it'd be an amazing day.
Yeah.
And could you imagine having both your men's and women's team in the grand final?
What the number of people would be.
Yeah.
It would be the highest ever for attendance at a women's game.
Yeah, and viewers as well.
100%.
Like, you'd have incredible viewership.
Because it's the same fan base.
Yeah.
Across it. Oh my God, that's what I want
and
so
then
bad.
also, the great thing is, like, it's happened for the Roosters. The Roosters have had the men's and the women's in the grand finals on the same day.
And we had the year where it was para and para.
Yeah. So, like,
And there was 40-something thousand there for the women's game that year, I remember.
exactly. So, yeah, it has happened previously, but we've never seen...
But not to it, like both.
Both clubs in the men's and the women's, which would be absolutely incredible, wouldn't it?
But, I mean, one thing that is absolutely guaranteed is we are going to have 2 incredible finals games this weekend. Like, I cannot wait. I actually, like, feel jittery. Like, I'm not going to be able to sleep. I'm so excited.
You won't be the only one, I feel.
Yes.
I feel like you won't be the
I'm
only
glad
one.
I'm in company in that sense. Ru, a pleasure as always. Thank you for your insight. I'll see you over the weekend.
See you on the weekend.
But also next week, next time we're in the studio for our final show, grand final preview, make sure you are tuning in. Make sure you're watching both of those NRLW finals games on Sunday, live and free on 9 and 9 Now. Thank you for listening to the NRLW podcast with Marlee Silva and Ruan Sims. Thanks to Lite and Easy, fueling Australian sport.
You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
This year, NRL on 9 is your one-stop shop for all footy.
That's right, Freddie. Not about the highlights, action, 7 days a week.
Billy and Gus podcast, get that on your drive on the way home. Immortal Behaviour, grab a seat on the couch for that. And of course, my favourite, Freddie in the 8.
The best footy brains, the biggest games.
Don't trust the algorithm. Subscribe to NRL on 9 and get all your entertainment there.